on chapter 29 of The Nature of Forces by me, Genevieve Gravel. Can you believe we are almost done? Like literally next month will be chapter 30 and the finish, the conclusion, the end of this story. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss a thing. Let's get into it. Why are you here? Hazel yells at me. I've been searching for you since you left me, sister. Why? Don't you know how much I love you? Do you not love me, even in the least? You're all I ever wanted. I spit through my tears that fell from my bright green eyes. All I ever wanted was my sister and my family. And you hurt me at every turn. You are my family, my blood. We shared a womb. Does that not mean anything to you? Has it ever? Hazel retorts. Family? I searched for family, a place to belong, a place where my dreams could be reality. And I found that here among these amazing women. My family, my sisters reside here, not in the deep, damp forest alone. And now you're here trying to steal all that is dear to me. Real family? I asked quietly. Am I not your real family? From birth and for most of history, I've spent loving you. My voice slowly became a scream. I am your flesh and blood. How does that not make me family? You call these women your sisters. But what of I, who shares your blood and history? I, whom knows you better than any other. Who am I? I never wanted to be you indeed. I never cared to be like you, but does that not mean I ever wanted for you to be anyone other than whom you were born to be? I never tried to change you, yet I was willing to change to please you. I tried to calm myself. I lowered my voice and spoke purposefully and in a calm manner as I stepped towards her, hoping for a long-awaited embrace. That, sister, is why I'm here. I left my home for you because I love you. I just want for you to love me too. Even when you turned from me when I needed you most, I've always loved you. Yet you ran from me. Every time I needed you, you turned your back. You pretended in front of Mama and then hurt me at every chance. You cut my hair and I loved you. You took my self-esteem with your dirty looks and snide remarks. And yet I still loved you. The pain you brought into my life has been all-consuming. It has made me believe that I am less than, that somehow I am unworthy of love and unworthy of life. Nothing compares to the pain that you've caused me by ignoring me, and yet I love you, and you left, and I loved you. I exist, sister, look at me, I exist, I screamed. Not to me. And you look like shit, Hazel responded. I never tried to be like you, to look like you would have me look. I never wished for anything other than to be me. Why is that not enough? Why am I not good enough? All I ever wished for was your love. I'm not sure she could understand my words as they were becoming muffled through my cries. You tried to fix me. You tried to fix everything. For your information, dear sister, there is nothing wrong with me. I never needed to be fixed. I was never broken, Hazel yelled back. I pled with her. I tried to reason with her. If only for a moment she could see life through my eyes. I wasn't trying to fix you. I was trying to please you. I wanted for you to be proud of me. And all you ever cared about was the look of things, your hair and your clothes. Well, newsflash, sister, no one is looking, I yelled. She screamed back at me. I'm looking, and I can see what you cannot. I can see the finer things of life. I can see the finer things in me. And I cried back, What of your oath to Mother, to first be a good person? Were those just empty words from an empty soul? I asked in desperation and asked myself, why? Why does she not love me? Fuck you, Hazel spits. Good person, I whispered. A good person is one who protects your family. I am your family. You're an embarrassment. You ruined my life, Hazel said without hesitation, through a squinted eye and a crooked, thin smile. I sacrificed over 70 years of my life in that tiny, all-consuming clearing, being there for you in that tiny cabin in the middle of nowhere. I never knew anything of the real world or all the wonderful things in it. I never knew happiness. I never knew freedom. I sacrificed that for you. Well, now it's my turn to be here for me. And there's no room for you, Hazel said while raising her voice to a bright, piercing scream. And with the final word, lightning bolts fired from her mind's eye that sent me flying across the room. I hit the wall with a thud and fell to the floor. Taking a deep breath, I slowly looked up at her, standing over me. I felt weak. I was slumped over like a rag doll. Mama taught you better, I whispered. The candle lights dimmed as I drew upon its power. Mama, you want to talk of your precious mama. Here are her people. This is where we come from. And this is where I belong. Out of selfishness, she kept us from all of this, Hazel said while spinning around slowly to show the glory of the walls and the rooms full of luxuries that surrounded her. She was protecting us, I responded in defense of Mother's memory. Everything she's saying to me feels like word vomit. Protecting us from what? A chance to have a rich and abundant life, Hazel accused. We had a life of abundance, I said flatly. You're so selfish. Do you think of only yourself? Sometimes life is not about you. Do you even care what's going on out there with our people? Do you know what all of this stuff is costing? Do you care? Sometimes life is not about what you have, but rather what you can do with your life. And all this stuff it's all meaningless bullshit. Family's all that matters. Mother Nature gives us all we need. Everything else is just crap. Mama taught us that. How can you not see? How do you not care? You may have abundance here, but there's more than enough for me to be included in your sisterhood. There's more than enough to feed the entire town of Alexandria. Hazel doubted me. She believed herself to be all-knowing and all-deserving of all the power. I don't want you here. Get out. You're crap. Who could ever be proud of someone like you? You're a whiny, clingy, needy little freak. She screamed at me. You left on our birthday, I reminded my sister, trying to stay calm through my tears. The pain inside is evident in my slumped body and arms. I slowly met her gaze. You didn't tell me where you were going. You just stormed off and left me behind all alone. You could have waited one more day. You could have said goodbye. I would have come with you. I would have followed you anywhere. But you never even said goodbye. I knew you hated the forest. I knew you longed to leave. I just wanted to be invited. Please don't leave me again, sister. Please don't leave me behind again. Just love me, sister. Just accept me. I'm your family, too. I'm your sister, too. I quietly cried. You were what I was trying to get away from. Your wishes are all you ever talk about. Well, I wish you were never born, Hazel yelled. With the exhale of a deep breath, I wiped the tears from my burning eyes and looked at my sister square in the eye. I'm a good person. I care about all I see. I care about leaving behind a kinder legacy, one of peace and love. I don't care about stuff. I care about the flora and the fauna. I care about the animals and the people. I care about Mother Nature, which is much greater than I am. I care about leaving behind a gentler world. Why is this wrong? How does this make me an enemy? Please, sister, stop making me the enemy, I begged of her. You're an enemy for the following reasons. Hazel started to count on her fingers. The way you talk, the way you smell, what you don't like, what you do. You're boring. You're stupid. You don't brush your hair, and you're a little fat. She continued to degrade me. Apparently, even my ankles irritated Hazel. Her long, silky ponytail whipped around her arms as she swiftly turned back after every few stomps of her high-heeled, pointed-toed black leather boot. I fucking hate you, you stupid bitch. Do you hear me? I fucking hate you. You're nothing but trash. You and those people down there, you're all a waste of space, unworthy of the skin that you're in and the wretched air that you breathe. And most of all, sister, I hate you because you're weak. You're just like Mama, a small-minded waste of space. So you keep telling me, but I'm here because I love you, I responded as if she hadn't hurt me. Are you trying to make me cry? Hazel said with a fake whine while wiping a fake tear away. I would never want for you to hurt. I would never want to be the cause of your pain. I just want you to love me too. I tried again to explain, to win her back, to get her to see me as anything other than a thorn in her side. No one could ever love you, Heidi. Who could possibly be devoted to a too tall, dirty, fat, stupid, ugly freak like you? Pacing over me, Hazel continued on, in confidence. You could have been the perfect sister, if only you changed everything you are, starting with your drab personality. Your boobs are too big, and your ass is too wide, and your clothes are filthy, and your shoes are nasty. Look at yourself. How can you even go on living? Hazel asked. I would rather die than live as you, even for a moment. That's what you should do, sister. Join Mama. Then you will never be alone again. I wish you would. If you did love me, that's exactly where you would go. Why can't you just accept that not everyone's like you? I mean, really, how boring would the world be if we were all the same? I said, anger filling my body with heat and tremors. Boring? You want to talk about boring? How about over 370 years where I was stuck alone with the likes of you? I left? Fuck yeah, I left. And just look around you. Look at all that I have found. Look what I've received as payment for all that I sacrificed for these years. I deserve this, Hazel screamed. Sister, beauty is to be found within the people we surround ourselves with. The people out there, not the things in here. I tried to explain, but I was rudely cut off. Out there, there's nothing but death and desperation and filth. Out there, she scoffed. Out there, there's life. How can anyone turn away from life's joys or ignore life's suffering? So I'm wrong, I snapped. I'm wrong when I care. And I'm wrong when I try to help. And I'm wrong when I need help. And I'm wrong to try to please you. And I'm wrong when I disagree with you. And I'm wrong when I sit. And I'm wrong when I stand. And I'm wrong for wearing pants. And I'm wrong for wearing a dress. Is that really what you think? I said. Yeah. Because I'm better than you. And my life is better without you, Hazel said with a snide grin while looking down her nose to me, her twin. I may look the opposite of her, sitting on the floor with my back against the wall. I put my head down and I closed my eyes. Well, I love you, and Mama loves you too. My cheeks began to grow flushed with anger. My eyes began to burn as I could feel them slowly begin to grow red. Yeah, well, she's dead. Her voice rang through my ears, and the candelabra flames grew, illuminating the room. I drew upon all the power I could muster, with total focus and concentration. Hazel continued with her everybody hates you rage, and in an instant, with the force of many volts, I lunged toward Hazel, ready for battle. I landed on top of her, knocking us both to the floor. I straddled her, choking her with one hand. My opposite hand pulled my blade from its sheath. I rose it high above my head. I don't know when the coven left the room, but we were alone. There was no one here to stop me. There was no one here that could save her. No, Hazel cried. The long blade glistened in the bright candlelight. I looked into my sister's eyes. I expect you girls to be good to each other. Look out for one another. Make your mother proud. Genevieve's memory went through Hazel's mind as I slammed the blade into my sister's head. The tip of the sword hit the hardwood floor. Blood squirted across my chest and sprinkled on my face. With the back of my hand, I wiped the blood from my face and spit on the corpse of my twin. Blood gushed all around Hazel's limp body. Hazel's spirit began to rise, and all of her powers entered me with a phantom glow. I felt strong. I felt powerful. I felt alive. I walked tall as I walked away. I took in hand as I exited a single candle. I held out the candle as I walked by the floor-to-ceiling purple satin curtains, lighting them ablaze. The flames slowly followed me. I closed the door behind me and smoke filled the room. But I wasn't finished. My fight was not yet won. I entered the courtyard from the kitchen side door and from the From the aviary, I could hear loud squeals of a bird. I saw Liliana taking on a physical form in the center of an embossed stone circle on the ground, surrounded by the weeping willows and the butterflies. I had no idea. While I was all consumed with my own problems, the witch Liliana and Celeste had begun to prepare for battle. Alexis was at Celeste's right side, and the twins were to her left, and Amber was nowhere to be found at all. I'd just killed Hazel. I have entered a battleground, and I don't believe I will leave here, and I'm not scared. I feel exhilarated. I have never been more ready for a single event in my entire life, and I have never felt as strong and powerful as I do now. The witch Liliana began the chants of a binding spell and attempts to weaken the strong magical forces within the walls and within Celeste, the goddess of the moon. The twins were hand in hand, as they could see the witch Liliana and hear her cries. They joined with Alexis, and the three witches formed a triangle around the witch Liliana's form, trapping her in with no way out. I tried to run to her side, but the twins tossed me aside with the telepathic strengths I did not know they possessed. I had always thought them weak, but their confidence must come from their great power. The witch Liliana was with no recourse. She searched for an escape. She set her sights on Alexis' strong, muscular form, and in a split second, the witch Liliana struck into Alexis's body, forcing her spirit out. Twinkles of blue and white fill the air above her, and the fire of the witch Liliana takes possession of Alexis. In pain and confusion, Alexis let out a shrill scream that pierced the twins' eardrums, forcing them to drop one in another's hands and cover their ears from the nauseating sound coming from deep within Alexis's chest cavity. Celeste stepped toward Liliana and found her footing. The twins were once again holding hands, and I could tell they weren't sure what had happened. The witch Liliana, Celeste said, walking to her, "You're supposed to be dead. We finished this now. I will burn your new body alive before the moon shines within me, for you cannot defeat me. I am the goddess of the moon." Celeste threw a conjured ball of fire at the witch Liliana, who leapt over it with ease and grace. She landed on her feet with her arms out in a stance ready for battle. The witch Liliana fired back a ball of ice, knocking Celeste back a few feet. I drew my bow and took aim, and Liliana carried on with the spell's chant as Celeste's attention turned to me. The circle's flames began growing higher with each turn of phrase. Celeste raised her hand to the sky to bring on the rain, and the thunder boomed, and the flames grew higher. From behind me, Kahai snuck up on the twins, when with one swoosh of his sword, both their pretty little heads rolled to the stone ground beneath them. Their bodies landed on each other with a thud. I could feel their powers enter me as I felt Hazel's enter me only moments before. I feel the magic with every pump of my heart. It rushes through my veins. I see everything with absolute clarity, despite the rain, despite the winds, despite the glow of the raging fire. As my feet begin to rise from the ground, I can see everything happening below me, and it feels good. Winds are clearer. I can see with my mind's eye the men of Alexandria hiking up the dark mountain. I can see Paolo in his room, looking out his window. I can feel everything. The pain, the desperation, the fear. I feel the hope. I feel the love. I feel alive. I can see everything from the ocean to what's in front of me. I see what's important now. And it's saving the witch Liliana from Celeste's powers. Then Kahai, with no hesitation, jumps in the circle, swinging his silver sword and slashing at Celeste. The flames grew with intensity, and Kahai was face to face with the evil witch of the wood. I fire my arrow at Celeste and hit her square in the chest. It does not faze her. Lightning strikes around us with the fury of a monsoon, and the rains fall sideways. I call upon the spirit of the moon, come to me. Enter me, my life I offer. My body is your temple. Spirits of the moon, I call to thee. Enter me. Enter me. My veins began to glow a bluish white from beneath my skin. I feel the powers of the moon enter me as I drain Celeste of her powers using my sheer will. I order for the rains to stop, and the lightning stops abruptly. Celeste Celeste is the goddess of the moon. No one's more powerful than she is. This is the thought in her mind as Kahai's blade sliced through her flesh as if it were butter, breaking her ribs and piercing her lung. Celeste falls in fight for her life, and with her dying breath, Paulo is her final cry. A phantom bull races from her dying body and hits me with the force of 10,000 men, yet I do not fall. I take the powers in, all the powers of the goddess of the moon, all the powers of the twins, all my sister's powers. They've all entered my body on this night. I'm intoxicated. I revel in the euphoria. Colors return to my body as my feet gently reach the ground. I now embody a power I never wanted for. The same power my sister had coveted. The goddess of the moon now lives in me. Liliana leaves Alexis's body, and her weakened body falls to the ground. Kahai cleans the blood and flesh dripping from his blade. Alexis returns to his body, and she remains unconscious but alive. I can hear her faint heartbeat. I can read her mind. If any thoughts had filled them, she laid there on the hard, wet ground. A dark black cloud of smoke plumes from the castle top. The fire I had set has consumed the castle, and I know we must work fast to burn Celeste's body and to break her spells. We can't stay here. The smoke is filling the air. We place the bodies of the twin witches into the fire in the inner circle. The flames begin to burst out the windows, and my eyes fill with smokes, and it begins to choke me. Over there in the aviary, I call to Kahai, who helps me carry Celeste's body inside. We close the glass doors behind us, and for a moment we're safe from the looming fires. But we have nothing to shroud Celeste's body in. Her clothing doesn't want to catch fire. It's drenched from the waters, from the rain, and the aviary is far too humid. The fire from the castle has begun to burn through the surrounding trees, and I fear that we may not be able to exit here. Kahai tries frantically to start a fire in the aviary, just as I'm about to call for him to leave her. We must run now. Her skirts catch flame and her body disintegrates to ash. The clouds don't part. The moon fails to shine and the rain does not fall. I had expected that burning her body would restore Mother Nature to its rightful owners. And when it didn't, I felt that this was all in vain. It didn't work. I killed my sister and it didn't work, I cried. A soft buzzing started in my ear, and I could hear a small voice, but I couldn't make out what it was saying, so I swatted away the bugs from my face. Ouch! A sharp pain in my foot, and I look down, and I see a fairy holding a thorn. It's beckoning to me. I follow the little creature to the black raven with red eyes, shrouded in a golden cage. I remembered my mother telling a story of the raven and the dove, and the two lovers who separated them. And only when these two birds would find each other would balance prevail. It was a fairy tale. And unlike the fairy tales of these little fairies and their little tricks, it was not mentioned in the book. Could it be real? I wondered. There in the castle jumped rooms, feeding on all the fabrics, the tapestries, the artwork. It eats the floors and smashed the windows, leaving only the stone walls and pillars to tell the history of this day. The aviary windows begin to burst into a million small shards of glass from the heat of the nearby fire. The glass ceilings begin to fall. I snatched the raven, who tried to break free of my grasp. I must hold his beak closed with one hand and tuck his body under my opposite arm. We ran, Kahai and I. We ran as fast as we could, leaving behind the detriment of the fire and the destruction of life. I don't know if Alexis was able to find strength to flee, but deep down within me, I hoped for her safety. She was an unwilling pawn in all this, and never deserved what befell of her. The smokes rose high in the ashen sky behind us as we ran down the mountainside. And while I had waged war on my flesh and blood, the people of Alexandria Major had set off to wage a war of their own. A group of 150 or more men and women, some on foot, some on bike, and fewer on horseback, had taken to the dark mountain. They followed Ramon's lead up the path until it ended. Then they took the steep rocky mountain climb by foot. They separated to hunt alone. 20 or so took to the caves. Others stayed below on patrol. 10 climbed into the caves. They ventured up the winding staircase and over the narrow bridges. They shot flaming arrows at every entrance, lighting the wooden doors and exits. Many vampires attempted to flee. Some attempted to fight or to douse the flames. Many bled, many died, and many kills in a never-ending battle of flesh. Apollo stood in his library with his beloved dove perched on his wrist. He looked out the large window into the night sky, dreaming of his long-lost love. He viewed his own reflection as he rolled the thick, tight cigar between his thumb and forefinger. He took a long, slow draw on the cigar and inhaled deeply. He sees the flames of Celeste's castle rise into the night sky, illuminating the massive smoke enveloping the castle. The smoke swirled around him as he exhaled. Celeste. He gripped at his chest to ease the pain. He could feel his energy begin to drain. His curse was slowly lifting as her body burned. Apollo gripped his stomach, bending forward, trying to steady himself, but falling back on the window pane. He grasped for breath. Feeling weak and lightheaded, his skin began to turn pale and ashen. His flesh began to shrivel. He tried to move forward. He dropped his cigar on the floor and it smoldered and left a small round burn mark on the highly polished floor. Down below in the deepest, darkest cave, Sari was defending Hilaire. She was providing him cover as he frantically tried to save his data. Her efforts were futile. Hilaire took an arrow to the back as he fell dead on his desk. His glasses sat on his fixed eyes, and drool flowed from his mouth, smearing the papers beneath his face. Neither vampire had seen the men enter the room. Sari fought fearlessly. However, there were just far too many to control with her mind. She managed to kill 3 men with her bare hands before taking a blade to her back. Several men of Alexandria began to unstrap victims. They frantically pulled out tubes and needles from the weak, frail girls. Many victims are far too weak to stand. Some failed to understand the rescue attempt before them. The men took the strongest with the intent to return for more, but for all, dead or alive. This cold, sterile room would never again see the red blood of the human. Not today. Not any day. They followed the long, tiled hallway with victims leaning on them for support. They had no choice but to ascend into the smoke. The exits had been set ablaze. The wooden beams fell to cover the entrance. Fuck. How do we get out of here? Why did you let this one? This is our only way out. What the fuck have you done? The leader of one group accused me. The plan was to smoke him out. Another responded, yeah, but not trap us in, the leader retorted. Another of the group of 20 Alexandrians and victims said calmly, look, we made a problem. We can fix it. No point in placing blame. Let's just find another way out. Sean crossed a rope bridge. She kept close to the mountain wall. She traveled alone, stealthy. She has one target, one mission. She stalked her prey above the flames of the caves below. She snuck through the rising smoke to the grandest entrance. It had gilded doors with marble pillars planking each side. The door stood ajar. She snuck in and crouched through the hallways of mahogany. She turned to the left toward the bird's caw in the distance. She knew what to do. She lit her arrow ablaze with fire and turned to the door. Her strong back glistened with sweat. She pulled the bow and took aim. The flaming arrow flew from Sean's bow. Apollo leapt backwards. He now shows his true age. He's no more than a walking corpse with rotting flesh falling from his thin. The arrow nearly missed his chest as he shattered the window behind him. The bat-like phantom wings appeared in the night sky as he glid to the ground with grace out of the broken window. To all those who lie in wait below, his only strength came from his newly found will to live. Surrounded, Apollo, with chunks of flesh falling from his thin, weakened body, could faintly hear each heartbeat. The smell of blood filled his nostrils, and he could see their body heat glowing and red with the blackened backdrop of the night. One arrow flies, nearly missing Apollo, and then 2, and then 3. 3 flaming arrows hit him all at once in the chest, sending him backwards. Ramon caught Apollo's fall with his blade, and the knife protrudes from Apollo's back. Celeste, Apollo cried with his final breath. Victory, Ramon calls with tears in his eyes, and he fell to the hard ground beneath him and kissed it. Upon Paulo's demise, the curse had passed onto his followers, dissipated. The vampires slowly returned to their natural form. Some turned to corpses with rotting flesh, and some decomposed in an instant. Some turned to dust, but all were set free from the powers binding them to this plane. All of them fell dead. With the battles won, they quickly worked to douse the flames and free those who become trapped inside. They cared for the injured and the weak. They carried the dead, and they carried the live over the jagged rocks of the dark mountain home. That one got me in the feels. One more chapter left, so make sure you are following me. Join me next First Friday for the conclusion of The Nature of Forces by Genevieve Gravel. But let me know down in the comments, how do you think it's going to end? If you know me, you already know. Okay, love you. Bye.